Hello everyone, Victoria here, and this is my puppy Alfie, and we're coming to you from beautiful British Columbia. I hope you are having a lovely day, and I want to invite you to come for a walk today as I'm talking about mind reading or expectation of mind reading in relationships and how it can really jeopardize relationships and make deteriorate trust in relationships. So come with me. Walk. In my previous videos, I have talked about self-attunement, attunement to oneself in return, and understand what we're feeling, thinking. And then I also talked about attunement from our other people in relationships, especially our romantic partners, like looking for a partner who has some fundamentals to be able to attune, turn towards us, check in with us, be able to hear us, understand us, and kind of have that space without reactivity. So I do want to distinguish today a very important factor that attunement from another does not mean mind reading. So let me explain what I mean by that. I myself have been guilty of this, where I would think when I was much younger in my first relationships that if somebody loved me, if I got upset and somebody loved me, that they would know how to fix that upset. They would know what to do. And of course, that was a very erroneous fallacy. Most of the time, they didn't. They grew up in a very different household, different family culture. They were of different gender, and so what would work for them wouldn't work for me. And so I would get upset and pout or give them silent treatment in the hopes that they are going to sort out what they did wrong, come to me and fix it. And oh boy, now from the age that I am looking back, I wish I knew better. But at that point in my life, I was very much influenced by the romantic novels and romantic movies that I think we all are. And I don't know where that wisdom was, but it was definitely not in my head. So I wanted to really highlight that piece. That is, that kind of mind reading is detrimental. So I want to make an analogy, maybe not the best analogy, but I hope it demonstrates. Imagine you and your partner were giving a quest. You have to crack this safe, the code of the safe. And you already have that code miraculously. You already know the combination, but you're looking at your partner and saying, crack that code to the safe, and getting upset at them for not doing it fast enough or not getting it done at all. So it sounds silly, right? Why would you, it doesn't make sense. Why would you be upset if you have the code and not just give it to your partner? But it's kind of equivalent to that. When we know why we're upset and we're not telling to our partner what's happening, why we're upset and what would make it better, we're kind of doing a similar thing. There's not a lot of logic to it. So I think in this scenario, when we know what makes us upset and we know what we want from our partner, we have enough self-attunement. We have enough self-awareness of what has hurt our feelings and what would make it better. But there is even more challenging scenario that where sometimes people don't know why they feel the way they feel and what would make it better. So they have not developed enough self-attunement and self-awareness to understand. And in this case, the situation gets even more challenging because in this case, you were given the same quest to crack the code of the safe, but you and your partner are standing there and neither of you knows the combination. Neither of you knows how to crack it. It's a no-win scenario for anyone here. So that's why self-attunement is so important, because it can help us navigate conflicts. It can help us establish trust, right? If we tell somebody, this is what's happening, this is what I'd like, and they meet us there and they support us in that moment, that creates trust, that creates bonding. And every time we don't do that, the opposite happens. It deteriorates trust and creates space and disconnect instead. So I want to mention 4 points. So if you fall into the first scenario where you know what's getting you upset and what will make it better, but you're not communicating, I'm going to make 4 points of how to maybe challenge this belief. And in the second scenario, if you don't have enough self-attunement, I want to invite you to refer to my previous video of how to take steps to begin creating that self-attunement. So now towards, if you know what's making you upset, and in this case scenario, right, we don't have the technology, that is gonna kind of enhance that mind reading from our partners, right? They cannot read our minds. Maybe in some future time and space, there will be a development of some AI technology that will allow people to mind read, hopefully with consent. But at this point, we do not have that. So we're going to have to do it old-fashioned way, where we challenge our beliefs, existing beliefs about expectation of mind reading from our partner. So I have 4 points. I might refer to my handout here that I made. And so the first point is, really, the mind reading of that nature is reserved for children and parents, especially very young children, babies, toddlers, but at any age really for a child, because that's, when we're self-attuned as parents and we turn to our children, we can now relay this skill set of developing that and helping children navigate their needs. So that's what's reserved. It's not reserved for romantic relationship, that kind of mind reading attunement. All right, and the second point I was going to make, that, one second. The second point is, if I tell my partner and they do it, it's no longer special. It no longer means the same amount. Like, it's not as valuable somehow. It loses its value. I understand that, and I'll explain why that even is like that. Pardon the noise, that's a sheep on the next property that's making a noise, little baby sheep. Okay, so the second point, I got distracted. Second point, yes, so it's no longer special if I tell them and they do it. I think it's actually, I want to challenge that. I think it's the opposite. When we tell our partners what would make things better and they listen to us and they do that, I think it shows that they put a lot more effort. They're being conscious and they're meeting us there. And thus, I think it's actually even more valuable because it requires stretch and effort on their part. So yeah, that's what I think is important to remember in this equation. The third point I wanted to make about these two challenges is that, imagine if roles were reversed. If your partner got upset at you, and they were giving you silent treatment, and you didn't know what's happening, why they're upset, how to fix it, you probably would feel like that's unfair, right? Most of you probably would agree, and you would be like, that's not okay, that's not cool, I don't know how to fix this. So when you look at it from that perspective, you're looking at it from your logical brain, from your frontal lobes, be able to observe that does not make sense. However, when the roles are reversed and you're in it, you're the one expecting the mind reading, that's your limbic system, your emotional part of our brain that is being activated. And it clouds our judgment and ability to see things clearly. So the fourth point, when our limbic system is activated, why? What's going on? What's really the part of you that feels and hopes for that mind reading is a really indication of some maybe hope, not met expectation, maybe a wound from a much earlier life, childhood. Some people refer to it like the inner child wounds. Not sure if that language aligns for you, but think about that. Maybe in your childhood, our parents are not perfect, they're humans, that some of your needs might have not been met and you felt disappointed, possibly hurt. What happens that when we interact with our partners as adults, them not reading our mind, not meeting those needs that parents should have met, becomes a trigger. It's a trigger point for feeling what we have felt in the past in our relationship with our parents. So what you feel in the moment are the feelings of the past. Again, I want to repeat this important point. What you feel in the moment is not about your partner. It's the feeling of the past, the disappointment and hurt you felt as a child, being triggered right in that moment, rather than that your partner is actually the reason and cause of that feeling. And I hope just having that awareness, we're separating that time and space. What I feel right now is about my past and how I felt as a child, and not about how my partner is treating me. And that helps contain that feeling, and it helps us become self-aware. And it sometimes can just be enough to create that space and move in a more logical part of the brain when we acknowledge that what's happening for us. So I hope these 4 steps, and I have a blog on this if you want this in a written form. I hope these 4 steps can help you begin developing a new belief that does not involve mind reading, that we do not expect our partners to mind read, and it is our responsibility as adults to share what's happened, what hurts us, and what we need in that moment. And yes, I apologize for releasing this video not on Sunday. Things got really busy with family visits and stuff, but I appreciate you being here, and I will continue showing up and sharing more of some of my insights that I gained. Thank you for being here. Have a lovely day. Ciao.